What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic. And today we're going to talk some football, Houston Texans football. But today we got a special guest, man. Who we got in the building today?
Man, we got Garrick Jones in the building today, man. I'm excited, bro. Thank you for having me on, man.
Man, appreciate you, man. I understand you trying to do big things, and I'm just trying to be a part, try to help you continue to do these big things. So explain to people what you're trying to get done right now.
Well, for me, man, I'm wanting to be the general manager of the Houston Texans. That's first and foremost. I'm a former player with the Texans, so I have a vested interest in what goes on with that organization. I'm an avid Houston Texan fan, number one. And right now, man, it's time. We need somebody that's going to be able to step in there and relate to everybody, not just one particular space, but absolutely everybody in that building. And I'm the person that can get that done.
Already, exactly. See, one thing you say you have a vested interest in that you're an actual fan, and I think that's important because people are throwing out all type of names as far as general managers and coaches and things like that.
Right.
But the thing is, do these people actually want the job? You seem like somebody, because you're out here advocating, promoting, trying to get the job, that you actually want the job. You've been campaigning for this job before this job was quote unquote available. So
Right.
that right there lets me know that you want this job, and I
Yeah.
think that's very, very important for somebody not only that's good at their job, but somebody who actually wants to be here and wants to be here for the long haul. Because it's not just a quick fix. It's not just a quick a Texas little tune-up. This is something that we have 10, 15, possibly 20 years to get done, especially
Right.
with somebody that's worth their salt at getting this position.
Yeah, that's the deal, man. You have so many different candidates that are out there, and a lot of these guys are recycled. A lot of these
Hmm.
guys don't have any new and innovative ways that they want to attack this thing, and a lot of these guys have not played the game.
Right,
So
right.
you got somebody that has seen it on all aspects of it, as far as being a player, as far as being in upper management, starting my own league, and also having the mentor-mentee relationships that I have. That, according to as far as yesterday, I got around 400 years of NFL experience in regards to upper management. Football ops have been successful, and I got a few Super Bowl champions that are part of this deal that'll come through the door with me. So when it comes down to leadership, man, I've been a part of that my entire life with this teamwork aspect. And the thing about it is I can relate to the fans and I can be the voice for the fans. I can actually get with those players that are here now and get the best out of those guys because they're operating at 40 to 60%, man. And it's been that way
Right.
for the last 3 or 4 years. And them playing above and rising above coaching has gotten us so far. Now it's
Right.
time to get some people in there that can really get the job done and really get everybody to buy into this situation because I'm talking nothing but Super Bowl the day I come through the door.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that because I can see it right now. I can read the comments right now. I'm pretty sure people are like, okay, well, who is this guy? Like, where's
Right,
his actual experience? And for people who want to say you lack the maybe being the pro scout or assistant general manager, things like that, when people
yeah,
bring up lack
right,
of experience, what do you
right.
say to that?
Well, I tell them like this, man. You got to look at it like this. I've had the opportunity to come scout for all the teams that I played for in the NFL. The jobs were there, but I looked at it and said, if I came in as a scout, true enough, I'd work my way up 15, 20 years in that one organization. Or
Hmm.
I can work with all these organizations, be it the XFL, the CFL, the AAF, all these leagues that have come and gone. I've scouted with them. And on
Right,
top
right.
of that, I've scouted in regards to me playing. I had the opportunity
Exactly.
to look these guys in the face and these guys that were first and second round draft picks and said, I don't think he got it. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So that's the advantage of having somebody like myself. I had to come to the league and I had to make it to the league out of the trunk of my car. So when it comes down to somebody that's willing to put that work in, I can look you in your eyes and I can tell you you're not gonna cut the mustard. When you got scouts that have
Right.
the book, they're going down that checklist, but they don't have that skill set that I have that I can step on that field and get it done. Or you can put me in that boardroom and we're gonna work out. So those are the things that you got to just really look at. Would you rather be compartmentalized with just one team or be able to be on a global aspect of it and bring that to an organization, which that's what I'll bring to the table.
Exactly. And you know what? And I don't want to make it a race thing, but it always seems it's funny to me that lack of experience always comes up when it's one of our type of candidates. And
I
we
get it.
like when you never hear lack of experience when it's for somebody else. Case in point, Vrabel.
Right,
No one said anything about Vrabel having lack of experience as far as
right,
being the head coach. He's only a defensive coordinator 1 year with Houston. Then boom, he gets hired on as a Titan. No one's out there with he's lack of experience to be a head coach, and now he's looking like he's the best coach in the AFC South.
right,
When you have people like Eric Bieniemy, you have people or Byron Leftwich, they like, well, he haven't been a coordinator long enough. He's only been a coordinator for 2, 3 years or something
right,
like that. That's
right,
still longer than Vrabel. or if you go back to the NBA aspect, you got people like can't think of his name right now, but
Steve Nash.
Steve,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Nash. Steve Nash goes off the court. He ain't done
Right.
nothing. He ain't never been no assistant coach or nothing. And boom, he gets the next job. When you got people out there like want to cutting their teeth as assistant coaches, boom, year after year, who can't get an opportunity.
Right.
Mark Jackson still can't get an opportunity, but yet
Right.
other people without quote unquote lack of experience. I always seen that funny. They always bring up lack of experience when it's one of our candidates. But if it's somebody else, they just they brush are right by that. And another thing that you just said about how you could recognize talent. And
Absolutely.
because we're in a situation, especially with the Texans, we don't have a first, we don't have a second, we have third and fourth and fifth round picks. You have to be able to find those diamonds in the rough. You have to, and I know people always want to go after the big star athlete or something like that. You know, like you want to go like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan might
Right.
be the greatest basketball player ever, but he's a horrible owner. Sometimes being a supreme talented athlete does that mean that sometimes that person who got out the mud, they're the best person who's able to evaluate talent, because I
Right.
live by this mantra. A dog can always smell a real dog. And
Right.
also, they can smell a puppy a mile away. Somebody might look the part. They might be 6'5", 250, can bench press all this and and run fast like that. But when you put them in them trenches, they soft as tissue paper.
Yeah.
But you know, you got those guys who were drafted in the 6th round, undrafted free agents, to come out there and play like Hall of Famers because they know what it takes to get in the league. They got that dog in them. And I think if
Right.
you a dog, you can smell another dog coming.
Yeah, you summed it up, Doc. I really don't have to say much after that, but when it comes down to it, man, it's game recognizes game, you know. And if
Right.
you in this game and you're not trying to change the game, what are you
Right.
playing for? And that's what I got to get people
Right.
to understand this is do you want popularity or do you want production in a plan? And those are
Right.
the things that I'm gonna bring to the table, because you see a lot of guys on TV and you're being force fed that this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy. But that gives you a bias when it comes down to guys who really have gotten it out the mud. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to what I do, you will not outwork me.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in front of people, you will not outwork them. When they are a part of my team, they feed off of what I do because they got to outwork me each and every day. So I'm leading from the front. I got boots on the ground in everything I do. Right now, I'm
Right.
over 1,500 former NFL athletes right now because I'm the president of the Huddle Up Foundation of Houston. So these guys look to me and say, man, it's something about you, man. They voted me as the president because they saw the drive and the determination that I was bringing to the table. So when it comes down to leadership, that's what this thing is about. You got to have the right leader in the place, and he has to be able to bring the right personnel to be under him because he's not doing all this by himself. And I think people get it misconstrued, and they really don't understand what a general manager does. A general
Right.
manager is just that. He has to be able to have an eye for everything that goes on in that facility, but also he has to put the right people in place to be over the cap. He got to put the right people in place to be the scouts. But he looks at everything and they come to him and they report to him. So if he's not able to know what that looks like, he's going to be a terrible GM. And if he's
Mm-hmm.
not able to be a better GM, he's not able to be that leader that they need, he's going to be a terrible general manager. So when it comes down to what I bring to the table, I've been leading my entire life. This is nothing new to me. This is old hat. This is the way I got into the NFL. I had to make them respect my game, respect who I was, and understand that when I get there, this is a professional attitude, and there's nothing that anybody can say to me that can take that away because I've done that. So the people that are under me, they eat and sleep and breathe what it is that I do because I'm gonna show them exactly how it works because I know the workload for everybody in the building.
Exactly. And so a lot of people don't understand when it comes with this job, especially being the general manager of an NFL franchise, you have to have respect across the league. You have to have you have to have relationships with other general managers, other agents, like I said, respect,
Right.
because if you don't have that type of relationship and you don't have that type of respect, that's how you get messed over on a, well, let me say, a DeAndre Hopkins
Right.
trade, or
Right.
Jadeveon Clowney trade, or even a Larry Tunsil trade. That's how you get worked in those type of situations, because
Right.
you lack the relationship and you also lack the respect. And like as of right now, the trade deadline's approaching. I know here a lot of people talking about they want to trade. Until a general manager is put in place, I don't want anything to be done, because I want whoever is the general manager, if there's you, if there's somebody else, whoever is the general manager, I want them to have their full plan in place,
Right.
because you might be able to move this player for this, but whoever the new general manager is, one, he might have a better plan, a
Right.
better relationship with that team you're trying to move them to, and they can get even more draft capital or able to do other things. Or they're like, hey, if you're just trying to clear up cap space, me and this agent have a relationship. I can get this. We can still keep this player, and we
Right.
can work his cap number down. That way
Absolutely.
he's still on the roster, and we still get that type of cap space. So I don't want any moves to be made quite yet until another general manager comes in place. And what do you think about that?
Man, I love it, bro. We need to get you in there too, man. I mean, when you really sit down and you look at it, no, because it's about having a temperament. It's about,
Right, right,
removing the emotion from your decision and looking at it
hmm
logically. A lot of these general managers, they're playing chess, man. This is the art of war when it comes down to this, right? That's why they call it
right,
over the
right.
moon. If you got a GM that's over here antsy and he's all emotional and everything that he's doing, you can take advantage of that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
If I
exactly.
can get you emotionally charged and get something out of you, I'm in control at that point. So I'm able to do whatever it is I want to do. So with me, there is that we don't do that. My thing is all logic. I remove the emotions from these decisions and understand that these guys are in here for a reason. The players that we have, we're just a few players away from doing what we need to do. It's all
Right.
about a mindset shift. It's all about the culture. Nobody has come in and said this is the culture. It's a win now mentality that we have to have and that we will have. And once that happens, you bring those men in and you sit down like men and you talk to them and say, hey, this is the goal. This is what we need to do. You know what happened, but this is where we need to go. How can we make this happen to where instead of this money that you're getting now, we're gonna make sure that you're gonna eat forever once we get to this Super Bowl and once we do what we do. We're gonna take care of your family. We're gonna have them set up. But we got to show them that we're in it for their best interest and we're also in it for the interest of the organization. If we go to a Super Bowl, everybody eats. That's from
Right,
top to
right.
bottom. So once they figure that out and they buy into that, and I'm able to just get that deciphered to them, we bring the right coaching staff in, and they know the culture, and they bring what they bring to the table. You'll see a big change. Like right now, like I say, the guys are operating at 40 to 60% because there's so much dismay in the organization. It's uncharted territory. A lot of guys, they've never lost like this. Me personally,
Yes.
I have. So I know how to say, look, this is what it is. You're going to win each and every day. You're going to win when you come in. You're going to win at practice, and you're going to win when you walk to your car. You're going to win when you get home. It's about winning. And once you change that dynamic, that's infectious. Once they see that in you, and they know that they can check you if you're not living up to the standard that you set for them, now we got that rapport. And that's what this thing is all about, man. This
Yeah.
is simple. This isn't rocket science, man. This is common sense, man. This is what we're doing, man.
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing too, because I agree. It has to be as soon as you walk in this building and win now because you have that dude at the quarterback position. You have a quarterback. You have a left tackle. Both
Right.
mind you, if I'm not mistaken, are both 25. Larry Tunsil might be 26, but they're both around the 25, 26. You have a premier left tackle who's regarded as the second best left tackle in the league. We have a
Right.
guy who I believe definitely is top five, even though I think in some situations why he hasn't been playing, even though he's right now, I think he's second in the NFL in yards,
Okay.
and I think
Mhm.
tied with fifth for touchdowns. But like he's a guy he's a premier quarterback who is a franchise guy. So you are in a win now mode because you have those two key pieces, which teams like I'm pretty sure because you've been in the league have
Right.
go 10 to 15 years trying to find and
Right.
can never find. Like
Right.
Miami's still trying to find a way to replace Dan Marino. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you got Denver still trying to replace John Elway. Like
Exactly.
you have the San Francisco still trying to replace Montana and Young. So
Right.
like you have these situations right here. So and saying that every decision that has been made going forward has to be in the best interest of number four. That's coaching hires, that's trades, that's drafting, that's free agency, everything. If you're trying to play on defense, is this gonna make my offense better, or is this gonna put more pressure on my offense that they gotta do more because we're getting rid of this guy? Are we
Right.
bringing in more assets to help out the offense or help out the defense to make the offense easier? Are we bringing in the right guy to coach this guy? Everything has to be done in the best interest of
Right.
the quarterback. Something I don't understand why NFL franchises don't do. They draft quarterbacks high and don't put things in place to be in the 100% best interest. There's no way you can sit up here with a straight face and tell me trading DeAndre Hopkins was absolutely in the best interest, not only of the team, but of number four. There's
Right.
no way you can tell me that with a straight face.
Not at all. Not at all, man. And that's in essence what it is, man. It's once you get to a point where you're feeding your ego and your ego is feeding you back, with that absolute power comes absolute corruption. And there was
Right.
no system of checks and balances with what was going on in regards to the emotions in the decision making that was happening. So that's why we're in a position that we're in today with the players. With the NFL, there's really no job security. And
Right.
nobody's really there to show these guys, listen, you don't have to be a mercenary and come in here and just get a check because it's bigger than the game. And definitely when you bring a talent in like Deshaun Watson and you have a Laremy Tunsil and you have guys that are in that caliber, you definitely want to build around those guys. And it's all about a philosophy. It's about a philosophy that, okay, these are the guys we're drafting, or these are the guys that we traded for. We have who we have in the building. We need to build from within, build these guys up, and allow them to go out and operate at the best of their ability because they're getting paid for a reason. This ain't high school. This is not high school. So that's where we got to differentiate ourselves and we got to set the tone for what we do. We're not the New England Patriots. We're not the San Francisco 49ers. We're not any of these organizations. We have to set the precedent for our own identity. And
Right.
once that happens, the Super Bowl will be here. But it's going to take the entire organization. It's going to take the fans on board. It's going to take people at home. It's going to take people really buying into it. But you have to have the leader that can sell it to where they say, you know what? We believe in this guy. We believe in exactly what he's saying because he's passionate about it. And he's shown us twice now. I made it to the NFL when less than 1% of all athletes make it. Every scout that I worked out for said, man, you'll never make it. Never
Right.
make it. And I did. And it's the same thing when I have people laughing about what's going on. I say, man, look, that means nothing to me. One person might laugh, but I might leave with 30 more people that are a part of this thing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So this is where we are, man. And you got to have somebody in there that's not afraid to roll them sleeves up and that'll get down and dirty and go out there and demonstrate how this thing is supposed to look. Because I haven't had a championship, so I'm starving. So you're
Right.
gonna have guys that need Deshaun Watson. You got a championship. You had a championship. These guys that have had championships in high school and colleges, all those different things. We're going to be looking at those guys to help us. And I'll be right there in the mix with them. The same with the coaches. We have to be starving enough to say we're going to go out here and we're going to hit anybody in the mouth and we're going to sit there and wait on them. And if they come back with another blow, we got everything locked and loaded and going again. So it's passion, it's purpose, and it's that plan, man. It's transparency. This is what we doing, man. We got to do this for Houston, man.
Exactly. And man, one thing you said that I really liked, you just said we are not the Patriots, we're not
Nah.
the 49ers. I'm so tired because that's one of those things that they always say about everybody. It's a copycat league. That's
Oh,
part of
yeah.
the problem.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a copycat league.
Right. Right.
Everyone should have their own identity. We are the Houston Texans. We are not anybody else. That's who we are, and that's who we need to be. We need to
Absolutely.
do the best thing of our franchise, what fits us. We need to stop trying to mimic and do and copy what other people doing. You think the Chiefs copy what other people doing? No, nobody's out there playing like Patrick Mahomes and the
Right.
rest of the
Right.
boys,
Right.
and that's the reason why they have a championship. The
Right.
Ravens, they the Ravens and the Steelers both have had the same identity since they became like. Everybody know what Pittsburgh does.
Yeah.
Everybody know what Baltimore does, and it
Right.
succeeds. They always in the top echelon. They might have a year or two where they might have an 8-8 season or a 7-9 season and miss the playoffs. But every single year, you always see the Steelers and the Ravens in championship contendership because they have an identity, and the identity has worked for 30, 40, 50 years. That's something that we need in Houston. We need the identity, have a stamp on our identity, and that
Right.
identity carries on to even after Deshaun leaves and to the next franchise quarterback and the
Right.
next and the next and the next. We need to create our own identity and able to do that instead of trying to mimic and do, oh, we're going to do what the Patriots do. Or we're going to do
Right.
what the Steelers do. Or we're going to do what the Cowboys do.
Right. Right.
No,
Right.
forget all that. Be the
Right.
Houston Texans. And so when you say that we are not them, I really respect that, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. No, and that's the reason why I raised my hand and said I'll go back into the lion's den. Every movement needs a sacrificial lamb. If that's the situation, I'll be him because we
Right.
need to have that identity. Man, I was here in '03. When we were trying to figure out what we were doing and this, that, and the third, and everybody was trying to make us something else that, they because we were a new franchise, right?
Right. Right.
We're still operating in that new franchise mode. No, that's not the situation now. We grown now.
It's
So
been almost
it's
20
time,
years, man.
man, it's time for us to stand up, pull our pants up, and get to it. And
Right.
that's the exact same type of mentality that I will bring to the table. I guarantee you, whoever ownership brings in regards to general manager aspect of this thing will not bring what I in regards to with solutions for every problem that's going on in that building right now, in addition to what I'll be bringing to the table, in addition to being able to develop these athletes. Nobody's going to come in there with that. They're going to talk about everything that they've done with other organizations. And this is my record. I've been here 15, 20 years. I mean, that's fine and that's good. But will you be able to have the fans behind you? Have you been in these chat rooms like I have? Have you be befriending these different fans that are passionate about this game, that are on speed dial? You know what I'm saying? It's not about being fans. It's about being family. And until you bring somebody in that's a GM that understands that, you will never have an identity. And I'm talking to ownership and minority ownership right now. You will never have that type of identity that you need in order to bring a Super Bowl here if you don't have somebody that's willing to jump in this fire for the organization when I'm not even employed by the organization. So that's how this thing works. Once people see that, and when the athletes that are there now see that I'm coming back into the fire, because I know what has to happen, and I want to help them, and I want to get this what needs to be here for the city of Houston. Come on, man. There will be nobody that will come through that door like me. I promise you. All I need is the opportunity, and we'll make it happen.
I mean, yeah. You showed me because it seemed like you had some politics background because you've been campaigning for me. Like your boots been on the ground for a while. You've been campaigning out here like Obama or something. Man. Like, hey, I respect the hustle, and now like I said, that right there shows me that you want to be here. That, like you said, you have a vested interest, and sometimes that might be more important than everything. That just the simple fact that you're one of ours. You're one of you're homegrown. You're one of ours, and sometimes. That means because you know the situation more closely than everybody else, whoever else they bring in. If I've heard the name Louis Rigg, John Dorsey, if you bring in any of these other names, they have to read up on what's happening here in Houston.
Right.
You've been here and seen it.
Exactly.
You've witnessed it already. So we don't have to give you a briefer. We don't have to give you a quick little 50-second pamphlet. You got to read through. Okay, let me know the history. Okay, boom, I'm good. I'm caught up. No, you've been through it. You've lived it. You've seen it. And that right there, that might be more file and more for quote unquote experience than just I've been part of an organization for these amount of years and now I'm on TV talking a whole bunch. I mean, and that's not disrespect.
Right? No, I get it.
Discredit those candidates because I think those are viable candidates, but it's something about being from this situation, knowing the situation as close as you know it. That push you shook in these hands, and before you've been in the rooms, like I said, you've been in the meeting rooms, you've been in these conversations, you know what these guys are on a personal level. You played the game, you know other players, you know other athletes, you know other agents. You've talked to other general managers if they've had to give you a contract or let you go, whatever the case may be. You have relationships with these other guys on other levels, not just on I'm on TV. So that's kind of a difference, but. Not to get into, because I don't want you to just spill the beans and give out your whole full plan. But just if you were afforded the job, what are some of the things you would do to try to clean up the situation?
Well, number one is culture. Like I said earlier, man, that has to be paramount. That's got to be top priority one. When you step through the door, they have to believe in the culture, and the culture will be win now, right? It has to be win now, and once they start to get that, everybody in the building has to be on the same page with all of the guys on the field. You know what I'm saying? So that's got to be priority number one. The second portion of that is bringing in a coach that can buy into that actual culture. You know, you can be Eric Bieniemy, you can be anybody. It's so many guys. I got a top 10. I don't want to just start throwing names out there, but Bieniemy's the hot one, right?
Right. That's pretty much everybody's number one.
Right. If you don't fit this culture, it's counterproductive for me to bring you in. It's almost like a double standard. Okay, now I'm in and I'm just bringing in guys because they're popular. No, it's about progress. If you're not willing to work with me in regards to putting a team together, put a championship quality team together, we're gonna bump heads, and that's counterproductive, right? And the next portion of that, once we find that head coach, is now these players. How do we connect with these players? How do we connect with everybody in the building? The next step would be to bring some programs to the table that would allow us to communicate 110 times better. There was a disconnect and connection. And in this business, the connection is more important than anything that you can have going on. I don't care if you're an analytic guy and you're talking about numbers all day, every day, you're not going to be able to relate to those players. I don't care who you are. Or are you, okay, I'm a talent evaluator, but are you a leader? I've had people come to me and said, man, Bill O'Brien had 300-400 years of experience, guys that were working with him, and he was a GM, and I don't think we need to do this experiment with somebody who doesn't have any GM experience. I get that, but is Bill O'Brien a leader? Is he a leader? You got to really ask, is he a transformational leader or is he a organizational leader? He's I'm a dictatorship. No, 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 no. When he left, you saw the clouds open up. The players saw the clouds open up. There was an air, that left. You got to have somebody in there that can connect with each and every person in there. It doesn't matter if they're Cal McNair, Janice McNair, from a philanthropic side. That's her space. With Cal, he's a finance guy. From a financial space, I'm checking all the boxes, guys. From day one, I'm checking all the boxes, all the way down to the janitors and the people that greet you when you walk in. Those are my people. I talked to each and every one of those people when we went to our Texans homecoming with the Green Bay game, and I talked to them and I said, hey, listen, I'm trying to get back in the building. How do I do that? And I'm asking those questions, and they say this is where it went wrong. So when you don't ask those questions, you become detached from reality. And then now you're buying into what you're looking at in that mirror. And that's where the ego comes in. There is no ego with me. I've been there and I've done that. But this is much bigger than me. This is bigger than the game. This is a family. And this is the situation where I'm in these chat rooms. I'm in all of these different message boards. And I have people shooting slugs at me all day. I volunteered for that. Just for the simple fact that as they're shooting slugs, I'm shooting slugs right back. And they're nothing but facts. And by the time we're done, I got some people that we are close now. And they absolutely hated me for saying I wanted to be the GM when Bill O'Brien was still here. I'm like, no, something is going to happen. All I'm asking for is an opportunity when that happens. And it happened. So now we're in a position where they're seeing it. People are seeing it. We're starting to get momentum. The people are getting behind the hashtag GJ for GM movement. And they're starting to understand that it's more to me than just saying I can do it. I can raise my hand or I'm a Monday morning general manager. No, sir. This is inbred in me. I've been in business for myself since the 9th grade. So I know how to be over people. I know how to manage. I know how to delegate. All the things that are needed in regards to the actual game to bring the Super Bowl here. If you don't have a leader, I don't care if you got all these skill sets. If the people cannot connect with you and you cannot connect with those athletes, it'll never work. And that's what we are.
Yeah, and it's something like what you said. I think a lot of people confuse being, because you said I don't believe. I agree. I don't believe that Bill O'Brien was ever a leader. No. I think he was an alienator, and some people because sometimes those things look very, very similar. I think people confuse his ego and him being alienating other people as far as a leader. Because one thing is when he came in, he took down the pictures of Andre Johnson and Arian Foster. He took off the decals off the helmets during practice, and like you had to earn being a Texan. He took off the little captain patches. Because when Deshaun wore the captain patch 2 weeks ago, I was confused. I'm like, what? I forgot. We were the only team in the NFL that did not let the other people know who were the captains on the team. That's absurd. Like absurd. Because it seems like no one, like how they always say, no one's bigger than the team. No one's bigger than the logo. For Bill O'Brien. No one, he didn't want anything to be bigger than him. And I think that's the reason why he had so much success with Deshaun Ross's rookie year, because he used some of Dabo's playbook. He used some of the Clemson style offense. And he heard people saying, oh, when you implement the Clemson offense, you've seen Deshaun play at an extreme high level. That's why the very next year he went back to doing his old thing and kept the whole Clemson thing to the side because he didn't want to share the credit. That's the reason why every other year he's always taking play calling away from the offensive coordinator because he wants all the credit. His ego was too big. That's the reason why you let your ego erupt and you get rid of clowning, you get rid of how, because I know people probably time me bringing up those trades, but like you say, it's just the facts. Sometimes your ego could be your detriment. And I believe that is the detriment, really. I think that's the root of everything that happened in the past 6 to 7 years with Bill O'Brien in this organization. He let the ego get the best of him, and it ruined what could have been a Super Bowl team. This team had a Super Bowl capability. We had a small Super Bowl capability because we had the quarterback, we had the receiver, we had the players on defense. This defense was full of former number one picks, former first round picks. You let all of them walk out the door. I know you said the last one for hot Dr. Pepper, the bag of Funyuns, and like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, that's exact. And I'll go back to what you said, man. Facts don't give a damn about your feelings. And once people really start understanding that everything that is being brought to the table now is factual. This isn't something that I thought about. This is
Right.
this is proven. This isn't potential. When I sit in the room in boardrooms with CEOs and billion-dollar companies and all these different things, I eat. I live for that because that gives me the opportunity to be competitive again, like the same way I was on the field. When it comes down to what will come through those doors, there will be a new dynamic that comes through that door with me. And I have some heavy hitters that are on the team, and they're like, young man, we see what you're doing. We see what you're doing. You're heading a movement. You're changing the game, and we won't end, right? So that's the mentality that has to come through here. Everything that Bill O'Brien did, I get that. It was facts that DeAndre Hopkins is a once in a lifetime type of player. You don't do
Hmm.
what you
Hmm.
did and not give your locker room clear and concise direction of why you did it and how
Right.
we'll get past it. It's like a family. And I tell people this all the time, especially when they're talking about trading this, trading that, cutting this guy, cutting this guy. If you have a family and you got a wife, you got a son, you got a daughter, and somehow or another, I trade all those people out, then I put some more people in there to replace them. How productive do you think you're going to be at your job? You got to look at
Mm.
that. You go,
Yeah,
you go to work the
that's a good
next
one.
day, you stuck, right? You got to
Right.
figure it out. So you're
Right.
looking to somebody that's going to be a leader and say, hey, man, what's going on? Can you help me get through this transition?
Right.
Nobody sees that. The players, unfortunately, are expendable because there's a new crop every year. We got to get past that. When we draft an individual, we're drafting them to retire a Houston Texan. We're
Right.
drafting
Right.
them for that. We didn't draft you to be a band-aid and come in here and say, okay, well, we think we like you. Oh, we clashed. I think I'm gonna get rid of you because it's another guy coming. No, 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 no. It doesn't work like that. This has to be a marriage. We gotta
Right. Right.
work through the problems because we under
Right.
contract. We gotta figure this out. Because
Exactly.
it hurts when you trust me. I've been there. It hurts when you
Yeah.
signing them papers and you halving up everything. I've been there, done that. So I understand the dynamic of what that relationship has to be. So those are the programs I'm bringing to the table that will help with this communication. There's a communication gap between a lot of these guys that I'm seeing that are top GM. They don't look like me. They don't, and I'm one of those players. So they got to bring something to the table outside of that. All the different teams that I've been on, I only had a connection with Bob McNair when he came down and sitting down and Arthur Blank out in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? When we sat down and we talked, these guys said, "Hey, we see your hustle, man. We see after practice you out here in the streets and you good PR. You're doing things in the nonprofit space. You're doing this. You're doing that. So it's got to be something that is going to connect, with these athletes that we have. And you got to get somebody in the door that does that well because they can take it from being there with those players and take it right there in the boardroom and be able to connect with everybody in that building. And if you don't have that, it'll waste a lot of money. You're gonna waste everybody's time, and
Mm.
it's time to stop that. We're done wasting time. It's about the Houston Texans and establishing our identity, and that's what I'm on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I completely agree. And like I said, I'm on board, man. Like I said, I'm doing everything I can to help get your name out there, and let people out there know exactly how they can get in touch with you, what they could do to help be part of the cause as well.
Yeah, man. I tell people all the time, just search out the hashtag GJ number 4 GM. You're gonna go to Google or whatever your search engine that you prefer, and just put in hashtag GJ for GM, and everything that's going on will pop up. My petition will come up. We're asking people to sign that, comment on it, and share it with your networks. When it comes from me, it only goes so far when I'm talking to the people that you guys have. But when it comes from you, it has a little more teeth to it. But for that petition, I'm putting all my information on there. This interview will be on there. They'll get a chance to get a better feel for me and what I've done thus far. My resume and all those things. I mean, I have those on there and the credentials, the different things that I've done in the past, my LinkedIn profile that has everything that I've done. And you can go research me. And after people take the time out, they'll come back 3, 4 days later and say, man, listen, I'm still learning about you and I love it. And I tell them, I challenge you to learn about me. Go a little bit deeper than Wikipedia because you ain't gonna find nothing on now. So that's why I'm putting everything right there for you to have. And now you can feel good with sharing it with your people. Like, hey, this guy here is something about him. Because now my peers are every day, hey GM, what you doing? Because they know that I'm coming and I'm gonna have to be dealt with because I'm bringing that passion, I'm bringing that fire, I'm bringing that desire, I'm bringing everything that's needed in order to bring a Super Bowl to this city. Because it's time, man. It's absolutely time. So hashtag GJ for GM. Just check it out, man. Just search it out, and I'm on social media. I'm all over the place, and I'm accessible. You can reach out to me, and I'll hit you back.
Already, man. Appreciate you taking the time out and
I
jumping on the
appreciate
video
you,
with me
man.
today, man. Appreciate you for having you, man. And, y'all already know what it is. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.